Hello everyone, this is Dion Soul. I hope everyone is doing well. And what you see is you're looking at the Beaver and what the float version. And I picked it up over on the xplane.org store because I wanted something a little bit different. I've been doing a lot of flying offline, basically being a glorified bus driver, flying the level ups. Um, uh, 737, 600, and 700 series aircraft for FS Airlines. And so I thought I would slow things down a little bit and I would just go ahead and get something slower. And when the opportunity became available, this aircraft was available over here at the xplane.org store for $34.95. And so I pulled the trigger and I bought it for that $20.95 special that they had going on because it was a 4th of July special. And also, too, I also picked up at the same time for $13.99. I ended up picking up the reality expansion pack for it as well. And so I thought I would do this video today talking about the both add-on modules, and I thought I'd just go over it and we just do a flight flying from here at Catalina Island, and and flying all the way over um, to Monterey, California, and that would be our little flight for FS Airlines. And we'll make a little bit of scratch for the company, and also just to enjoy this aircraft. I will say this aircraft itself, Thranda has done an awesome job with this. What they call it, the dynamic generation series. I think these aircraft are just incredible as far as feature rich. And like I said, this is a very feature rich and high fidelity aircraft. I don't really have a whole lot of complaints. I mean, sure, yes, I will always find something that I'd say I wish they would do this and I wish they would do that. But all in all, out of the box experience, especially for $20.99 if you buy it on sale, this aircraft is a steal for the high fidelity that you get for this aircraft. Also, too, like I say, I did purchase the Reality XP or Reality Expansion Pack for it as well. I have mixed feelings on it. I kind of have a love-hate relationship with Reality Expansion packs. This will be my third or fourth go around or go for the reality expansion packs, and I usually buy them for the standalone economy module. So I just want to do my own thing and not have to worry about me being dependent on anybody. I can just do my own thing and have a standalone economy module. And unfortunately, just like the previous three economy or expansion packs, it's falling short again. Reality XP, unfortunately, I'm just disappointed in it that it just makes it more difficult than it needs to be. And I say that in the context of you. It throws in all these failures too frequently, and I don't know. I wish Reality Expansion Pack would actually set in some kind of of a uh, um, a failure that would be more not as randomized. Case in point, for this vehicle itself here. Matter of fact, I'll bring up the maintenance for this one. What I've got is I'm still using it for this aircraft, but I've actually I turned the economy module, which is what my main purpose or reason why I bought it in the first place for. I turned it off because I found, especially with this aircraft right here, I will get one flight into this aircraft and immediately I will get a engine one cylinder overhaul as needed. And I don't know why. I don't know if it's because it's my behavior and how I fly the aircraft that's causing this thing to trip every time. But I've tried to do the Reality Expansion Pack standalone thing 3 times, and all 3 times I would do the first flight. I had one flight where I did run the temperature hot on the aircraft, not knowing because I had to learn from my mistakes, and it was correct in that assessment. But then the last 2 times, because I was aware aware of the temperature issue. I've been very consonant. I forgot how you pronounce the thing, but anyway, I've been very aware. Let me say it that way. I've been very aware of the overheating situation, and so I've made myself make sure that I didn't run into that problem again. And so what ended up happening is I would still end up getting that cylinder one failure where you've got to overhaul it, and it usually takes 24 hours to do it. So if you want to keep it real, like the developer intended, what ended up happening is you end up have to not fly that airplane livery, which in this case would be this livery right here, this November 531 Lima Mike, for 24 real world hours. And that just kind of breaks the immersion. So if I was roughhousing the aircraft, then I can understand, and it's my bad. But when it just arbitrarily does it every time, then it gets annoying, and so it just got so frustrating, I just turned it off. Also, too, another thing that the Reality expansion pack did that's very annoying is that when you go do a flight, you'll burn oil, which in a radial engine you should be burning oil, so I don't have a problem with that. But it does not give you the opportunity to be able to top off the oil at will. And what I mean by that is I've 3 times that I've done the flights with with or without the economy module installed, even just like it is right now. You go do a flight and the oil doesn't drain enough to be able to trip. It drains it, but doesn't trip enough where it tells it, hey, you need to add more oil, and then you can't do it. So if I go down to like 21 U.S. gallons, or down to 21 U.S. gallons, let's say it burned 4 quarts of oil in a given flight, it won't let you just top it off, because when you go into your pre-flight and you see that where the oil level is and whatnot, which I do like, and that's why I still have it installed, it's awesome, but it does not allow you to be able to top it off. That's one real big sticking point that I have with the Reality expansion pack thing. So there's little things like that kind of go on and happen, but everything else with it seems to be fine. But again, the overall thing is the reason why I didn't even have, which I wanted to have to sum up, to have the standalone economy system installed to add that immersion factor, is the fact that we have all these failures that they put on you on the front end that you don't have money to fix. If you had money to fix, I wouldn't be having a problem with it, and I wouldn't be talking about it. But they do them a very expensive fix, i.e. replacing a cylinder. It's to have it an instant fix that ends up being a $78, $78,000 repair. They penalize you for those instant fixes, and I know they got to have some kind of penalty, and I get that, but it just makes it so it's just kind of like so. Buying the Reality expansion pack for this bird is okay if you want it, but it is definitely not necessary for you to get your enjoyment out of the aircraft. I am basically telling you that I'm on the fence if I should recommend it, the Reality expansion pack, to you or not, and that goes with any Reality expansion for any of the aircrafts, because this isn't the only one. The Reality expansion pack for the also for the Quest Kodiak, overtemping the engine. If you accidentally, when you're starting the engine and you kind of get a little too hot and then it trips it out, and then you got to rebuild the engine and start over, because everything, going off on a tangent here, everything that this thing monitors when you're doing the economy module is all based on what livery of the aircraft that you are flying. So if you have a livery and then you turn around and you switch to a different livery, then it's like starting the economy module all over again, from my understanding, from what I can figure out at this juncture. So like I say again, so with the Crest Kodiak was having drama with that, where failures were tripping, that was just kind of like, come on guys, this is a little too much. And same with the Baron 58. The Baron 58, I believe there was some things that would ground the aircraft, and they were usually engine related, not necessarily hot, where plugs are fouled or whatever, and you're going to be offline for a couple hours for repairs if you want to keep it true to real world time or whatever. And it's just kind of like, well, guys, I just want to go fly the airplane here. I don't want to sit there and have to mess around. I mean, I don't mind these every now and then. I mean, I encourage it to have a failure every now and then, but just having them one after another, boom, 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 scenario that has happened to me, it just kind of breaks the immersion. It's just kind of like, well, why bother? So that's why I'm on the fence of recommending any of the reality expansion packs to anybody. If you want it, fine. If you don't, it's not going to deter your experience. So, on that note, that's why I would say, as far as Thranda is concerned, I wish Thranda could actually add a couple of things to this flight model that would actually improve the overall, role-playing experience for this aircraft. And one thing that comes to mind right off bat is pumps. Having the mechanical pump that you can actually open up these little covers here and actually start pumping the water out. If you've got, you'd have a an information in the information card, and maybe under the miscellaneous or something, that you would have the fluid level of each one of the floats that the water is seeped in, and of course this is also based on the age. If the aircraft is brand spanking new with brand spanking new floats, then of course you're not going to have that kind of scenario probably right away, unless you hit something and you popped a hole inside your float, and then of course that's a whole different thing, and that would be a repair. But at any rate, so it would be kind of nice to be able to have that simulation to, if you're on the float configuration such as this, that you would be able to pump the water out of the floats and have a fluid level for the floats, that kind of thing. Also be able to have the additional locker space available to you, where you can actually add more cargo weight to the aircraft, to put extra little things in here and there. Maybe all your emergency kit or something like that would actually be in the floats somewhere. Have these doors open up where you can actually add a little bit of cargo in there, kind of like with the cargo pods with the other products that Thranda has. That would be very cool, on something I'd like to see them have. Something that I've seen in YouTube videos that a lot of Beavers have, and that is, and right in front of us in the center of the screen, their fuel loading area, loading fuel into the aircraft, is sitting right here. It would be very nice that if Thranda would have actually modeled the fuel door along with the 3 different filling stations or filling inlets for each one of the belly tanks. We have a tank on the aft, and then on the forward, and then in the middle tank. Well, they also call it the center tank as well. That would be nice to be able to actually have those, instead of just arbitrarily coming in here and actually just filling them up right here. Add a little bit of role-playing ability to it, where you can actually click on the fuel nozzle, and actually would open up the cap, kind of like what you see with the King Air 50 by Airfoil Labs, and actually have an LED readout pop out, or whatever the case may be, to have that kind of interaction to be able to load the fuel up. Still retain what you can do right here on this information card, or this pop out right here, but it would be nice to actually have, for more of an immersion factor, we actually would have the three filling nozzles right here, along with the filling nozzle up here for the tip tanks as well. Being able to model this out, where you'd actually open this up, and this would actually open up, and then you'd actually have your LED readout where you can actually fill for that added immersion factor. And if these things that I'm telling you require money as far as an expansion pack for it, I don't have a problem with giving them extra money. $15, $19, whatever the case may be, for an expansion, to be able to have the lockers and all the stuff that I've been talking about right now. I'm willing to give Thranda some extra money, because Thranda makes very high fidelity aircraft, as of late especially. And I have no problem with giving them extra money for that sort of thing. So those are the things that I see here on the outside that jump out at me that I would love to see. One notable thing that's kind of interesting, and we'll actually probably talk about that when we go inside. So on the exterior of the aircraft, I can't think of anything else. The being able to control this aircraft is by differential braking as far as moving the aircraft around. You have to do differential braking in order to make that happen, because these front wheels are on casters. So you have to control, you have to point the aircraft via differential braking to make that happen. So that means you got to go a little bit in speed and then force it to do what you want to do, that kind of thing. I'm trying to think of anything else that jumps out at me that I saw in YouTube videos that I wish could be implemented here. They do have a canoe option, which I haven't used it yet, but I think I remember seeing it somewhere. Oh, here it is. The canoe, you can put the canoe in right here, which is kind of cool. I like that, having the canoe. And having the canoe scenario, they need to have a list of things where you can actually have maybe a little motorcycle or a little four-wheeler. There's people that put four-wheelers on here, and in actuality, they actually had a picture. They had one video of a picture of somebody actually having another airplane fuselage, and then the wings were on the other side of the aircraft that were attached. It was a little small, like a little LSA or the other type of ones, the ones that you don't require a license. I forgot what you call those airplanes. But anyway, having a brain fart. But anyway, so like I said, they had an airplane actually attached to the struts of the floats, which I thought was pretty cool. Have an airplane within an airplane. I thought that was kind of funny. Talking about how to paint this aircraft, this is one of the major selling points for me. Also, too, you can add scratches, where you can actually add scratches to the aircraft, and you can also take the scratches away, and then you can actually clean the aircraft, where the aircraft is actually nice and clean, or it's major dirty. You can just roll it up to 0 to 255, and then same with the scratches, and you can have yourself a very dirty aircraft, that kind of thing, which is pretty cool. I kind of like that. And how you really see it's really dirty, you go over here and look at little areas like here in the strut, and if I sit there and I just go back to 0, and you can see how it's all nice and clean now. Things like that, kind of things like that. So I think that's really cool. But what I found, like I say, one of the selling points for me with this aircraft was being able to on the fly paint the aircraft. Of course, that's gonna break the reality expansion pack to a degree. So jumping out and doing it may not want to do that. But as far as actually painting it, you can paint this aircraft. And what I have found, the trick that I have found by painting this aircraft, is that I paint it the way I want it, and then hit apply into the come over here. Let's say here we got a brand new one right here as an example, and you're gonna sit here and paint it. Whatever you want. Save time. I'm not going to do it, but I could paint it, make it look like what you see right here before you, and then when you hit apply, it basically saves those. It saves those files into the objects folder of the aircraft itself. So you go to the main objects folder, copy the E1, the E2, the E3. I think it's E1 all the way to E8, but I think all you need is E1 and E2 that you need, unless of course you're going full metal on certain areas like I am right now. Then you'll need the normals files included, like E1 dot instead of E1 dot PNG or PNG file. Not only do you copy that file, you also copy the normal file, the NML file extension as well, and you put those files into your folder of choice and you just rename that folder to whatever you want to call the livery. In my case, I just follow along what Thranda's done, and that is just the tail number of the aircraft. It just makes it easier. And then once you do that, then you got yourself the blank slate of the aircraft the way you want it, and then you can go in and put your decals. In this particular case right here, with this particular aircraft, what I did is I just added my dad's tail number, November 531 Lima Mike. Basically, what I mean by my dad's tail number is my dad's initials and his birth date of 531, in honor of him, of his, because he passed away back in 2017. So, just it's my honor to him. And then of course you put the U.S. flag on here, of course, because I'm an American, and you got to have our American flag. And that sort of thing. I could put the Solus Wings decal right here if I wanted to. Didn't do it because this is Solus Wings, but in reality, this is really a general aviation aircraft for individual bush pilots who need to get into tight areas and whatnot. So, but that's how you paint this aircraft, is how I painted it. And then you just copy it and put it into the liveries folder the way you got after you install your decals. You can either export them or then save them with your after you add your decals. I kind of missed some steps there in description of how to do this. In part of the process is you actually use your livery or your painting editor of your choice to bring the PMDG files into that paint editor, whether it be GIMP or Photoshop, whatever, and then you actually put them in, and then add your decals or whatever you want, and then save them, and then put them into its own little objects folder that's a subdirectory of your main working file that you created that I stated previously. And then they're good to go. And then you got that, and then you can go into X-Plane and then have X-Plane actually build the icons for the aircraft after you're all done. You load into X-Plane, then you just run the icon generator, and then you'll have icons for your airplanes when you go in here to pick the airplane that you want to fly, that kind of thing. I didn't do it for this particular aircraft. That's why you see it with a big question mark. But that's how you do it. So that's how you paint the airplane in a nutshell. I won't go, like I say again, I wasn't going to go into the meat and potatoes because we'd have a whole dedicated video just to that by itself. But anyway, so let's go ahead and go on inside here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go inside here by opening up the doors here. So we can talk about the inside of the aircraft. And this aircraft has got plenty of doors here, as you can see before you. We've got lots of them. We got 2 more on the other side that we don't need to open right now. But like I say, this thing's got tons and tons of doors to get into. And you got some seat manipulation here where you can actually left click and drag and pull down the seats like that, which is really, really cool. So you can add that. So you could theoretically actually pull down all these seats like this. And without removing the seats, you could probably theoretically take a 4x8 sheet of plywood or whatever, set a 4x8 sheet of plywood on top of this, and then load up to 1,200 pounds or whatever the gross vehicle weight would be into it, that you could, maximum takeoff weight, and then have a flatbed right here where you can actually load product on here to take it to your destination and not have to actually take out the seats, which is pretty cool. But if you want to, you could just you could just actually just remove the seats themselves. You can just go over here, just click on them, and then take them out like this. And you can see because I've got weight already in the weight and balance, I've already got weight here by me getting rid of these seats. That's why you're seeing weight. That's why you're seeing these cargo show up here, which kind of illustrates this is kind of when you have weight back here. You see how the cargo starts to fill up. And there's bunches of combinations that you can do and whatnot, but that's kind of it in a nutshell. And again, if you want to put the seats back, of course, I think in this case, because I've got all this cargo here, I'd actually have to go in here to the weights and balance and actually click on these little bitty check marks that you see right here to actually put the seats back. Because in this particular flight that I'm doing right here, I do have actual passengers that I'm taking 5 passengers, and the leftover is cargo. So there you go. There's all the seats back and whatnot. With other the newer aircraft such as the Cessna Grand Caravan and the Cessna 675 that Thrunda's done, you can actually slide the seats forward and backward, and because it's a bigger aircraft, you can actually have it's a 2x3 or 2x1 configuration. So in other words, a bench seat and then a single seat, and then you have a middle row, or you can have all single seats left and right, and there's lots of combinations that you can do with the Cessna Grand Caravan. And I am looking forward to the reality, or to not the reality, the expansion pack, the homegrown or the Thrunda expansion pack, because that is going to actually have floats, from my understanding, for the Cessna 208 Grand Caravan. So you actually will have floats along with some other features, the G1000 most notably, that kind of thing. So I'm definitely looking forward to the expansion pack for the Cessna 208 Caravan, and then I'll be bouncing between this aircraft for my water operations along with the Cessna Grand Caravan, because having the that will be when Thrunda actually introduces the float version for the Cessna 208 caravans, whether it be the Caravan 675 or the Grand Caravan, that will be the only model, or at least high fidelity. Let me say it, high fidelity model. Let me say it that way. That's available, whether it be X-Plane or Microsoft Flight Simulator. That will be the only one, and of course, X-Plane is going to have it. So, that's going to be epic, and of course, here's my money. Let me put out my dollar bills. I'll be waiting for that. But as far as this airplane right here is concerned, this airplane right here is very, very nice, it's almost at a sweet spot. Again, there's a few things here and there that I've mentioned just a moments ago, and some things I will mention that we're actually inside here. One thing, this is actually a call out to Thrunda. When you turn on the lights, the interior lights here, I believe that's what this is right here, is a light. And unfortunately, here as of this recording, which is the 11th of July of 2022, these lights do not work. They're just a static light that just sits there and looks at you, but it doesn't do anything. You can't switch it on. If you go over to the if you go over here to the panel and you try to turn the cabin lights on, they don't come on. So there is something up. Either they just didn't model the lights, or something got overlooked by Thrunda. I don't know, but the lights don't work, and that would be, for a role-playing perspective, that would be very handy to actually have those lights work and either be dimmable or not. I don't know. I'm not really too tripping on having the lights dimmable or not, but I would like to have them actually work, because you've got the headset connectors right here. Which you can see right there. Those look like headset connectors. But unfortunately, the lights don't work. These lights here in the cabin for the passengers do not work. So, which is disappointing, because you would think that they would work. And as far as everything else is here, as you can see, there is no seat belts. So I don't know if that's the way the real one is, where you kind of like you got seat belts for the for the pilot and the co-pilot, but all your passengers, screw the passengers. You guys don't need seat belts. You don't need no stinking seat belts. Swig of water for the working man here. Okay, so let's go ahead and get on inside here. And what we're going to do here is we're going to quickly run over. What we'll do is we'll quickly run over here to the. We'll do the pre-flight. So what we'll go here is a walk around right here. They want to make sure that this is out, so we'll go ahead and make sure that this is out right now. The parking brake is out, and then make sure that all the breaker or switches and breakers are in and turned off, and they are in the state that they need to be in. The only reason why I have the turn bank on right now, because that turn bank is actually the gyro. The gyro you know, and they don't have at least I haven't heard it, but there is no gyro sound here. So they do have a mechanical gyro, but there is no gyro sound that you would hear on other aircraft. So I don't know if that's by design and they don't have a mechanical gyro and they just have a laser gyro. I don't know, but they don't. But if they do have a mechanical gyro, you don't hear the thing wind as you turn on the at least I don't hear it when you turn on the avionics. You don't hear it start to wind up, or at least I haven't noticed it. Of course, now what's going to happen is when we get to that point to actually turn it on, then we're going to hear it. Then I'm going to have egg on my face. I was like, oops, okay, never mind. I hear it now. But we'll find that out once we get to that point anyway. So anyway, so this is what we got going on here. Master switch is off. And what else can I see? All the circuit breakers are in. Okay, well, there's a note about the circuit breakers that I need to bring to Thranda's attention. Okay, over here, throttle quadrant, make sure everything is down. Everything is down. The propeller controls and all this sort of thing is all down. Yeah. Okay, we're rocking and rolling there. The reason why we want to turn on the switch right now, is to check the fuel levels. Well, because which we'll get more in depth. The fuel levels are up here, and you can see I'm full on the front tank, but the back tank and the other tank are empty, and there's reasons for that. But so yes, I did move it from here where you see the information cards. I moved it to up there, and there's a reason why I did that. And in the course of this video, I will explain the reason why. So we've got that. So we'll turn the switch back off. So the master switch is off. The fuel level. This is the oil level, and this isn't a Thranda problem. This is a reality expansion pack problem. I wish they can see how it's full of oil right now. I'm kind of repeat what I said earlier at the start of the video. You go and you do one flight. It'll go down to right around 4 gallons left of oil, and if I want to top it back off to 6, it will not let you do it because it has to be below a certain threshold in order for it to click for you to actually add oil. That's been my experience because I was down between 4 and 5 quarts of oil. I think I was right around 50%, between 4 and 5 quarts, and it wouldn't allow me to be able to add. It would be nice to actually be able to, instead of actually having to have to come into here and actually add the oil where it says oil level quantity right here. It says 25/4, which I don't know what that means. But at any rate, because 4 U.S. gallons maybe, 25 quarts or 4 U.S. gallons. I'm guessing that's what that means. I don't know. But you see right here, it says 5.25. So I thought that would be 5.25 quarts or 5.25 gallons of oil. So I don't know. But at any rate, so like I say, there's not the threshold for this needs to be where if it's burning oil, especially as the aircraft ages, you'll be burning more oil. There should be an availability where I can actually come in here, either click on the slider right here, or have another menu system here where I can click on it, where I can add oil, and like I say, to be able to open up this cover right here and actually check the oil would be nice, kind of like what the King Air 350 does, even though it doesn't actually show the oil level. But that'd be kind of nice to be able to actually click on this, left click on this, then the cap comes off with the stick on it, and then you can actually check it, or actually run the engine in a pre-flight, run the engine up, turn the engine back off, wait for a minute or 2 or 5 minutes like you would in an automobile as an example, and then check the oil to see where the oil level is after the oil is warmed up a little bit to give you a more accurate reading. Those kinds of things are very doable here in the simulation. They just need to be programmed in accordingly to make that happen. And again, if that requires an expansion pack from Thranda to do that, I've got no problem to giving Thranda money to do that. But Reality XP did not do that, other than the what you see right here, which is cool and all, but I would rather have that more immersion where you'd actually just left click and then bring up the oil filler and then actually check it from there. But that's me. Maybe I'm off base. Leave the comments down below and definitely like, subscribe. Oh, I gotta hit that button. I gotta hit that button again. Definitely like, subscribe, and all that sort of thing. So anyway, so yeah, that's the oil scenario there. So let's go ahead and close this back up and then just move on to the next thing, if it'll let me. Come on, there we go. They're just making sure that all the flaps are down. See, the flaps were up right now. I've actually bound the flap key, the up and the down part lever with my honeycomb throttle quadrant. I actually made that so when I push up with the flap, it'll move this flat lever up, and then when I push it down, it moves the flat lever down. And then I use the flap lever that you would normally put on the 737 or whatever. I bound it to that, so now I can actually pump, because these are mechanical hydraulics, which is really cool. And if I go up, well, I can't go up there right now, but that might be off track now. But so that adds a little bit of immersion factor, and I just bound it to my honeycomb throttle quadrant to have those functionalities mechanically, like out here in the real world, to represent here in the sim, which is pretty cool. I like that. Fuels, and like I say, and you see he's actually, or the reality expansion is actually pointing towards the area where those filler tubes would actually be that have not been modeled by Thranda. So that's another incentive for, in my personal opinion, that Thranda needs to model the filler tubes right here. And again, Dan, I have no problem with giving you more money if you would model what we discussed, and actually maybe have it be able to mouse wheel, where you can actually mouse wheel the fuel level with a mouse wheel and change the fuel level with it, that kind of thing. Toggle the chocks. We can go ahead and remove the chock because the breaker is already set, and it says the tire is pretty good. See, I like this right here. This is no problem. And then because I have the external fuel tank right here, it's telling me that it's full, which it is. We can go ahead and get rid of the cover around here, which is good. Now the cover is off. We'll go ahead and get rid of the other chocks. And we'll go ahead and get rid of the tie down. And we'll get rid of the, what's this I'm checking? Oh, this is checking the lights. If I had the lights on, we'd be checking the lights. We are going to assume the lights are right. Unfortunately, this is one thing that the Reality XP that is binding your field of view to the spot right here is not actually correct. They need to move it on over and then put it over here where it is right here instead. And that happens on both sides, both wings, on both sides of the aircraft. That is a Reality XP problem where you got to move your eye point around to be able to get to it. I mean, again, not a big deal, but for immersion factor, it'd be nice if that was fixed. And what do we got here? Check the ailerons, so you can just left click and hold, which is pretty cool. That's not free and clear, which you wouldn't think it otherwise. And that's okay with the flaps. And then remove the tie downs here. And then we go ahead and check our our elevator. Our elevator is nice and sexy, working just like it's supposed to. Of course, you wouldn't think it'd be otherwise. And then you can do the rudder. So the rudder's moving right around. Now, a little something about the rudder here that we need to talk about, and this is another that Thranda attention. And they could probably make the argument in the comments down below. It's Dion, what you're saying is not necessary, and that's perfectly fine. Right now, as you can see in the information card in the pop-out window, I have the steering set to simplified. And the reason why I have it to have it simplified, for me and my flight aviation experience flying this aircraft so far, when you have it over to realistic, how realistic works according to what actually Nojo explained in his video, is that you go 5 degrees, and after 5 degrees, it becomes a caster wheel, as opposed to when you're turning around. That is perfect and fine when you are taxiing, but once you at the ready for takeoff or ready for landing, there needs to be a third position available to you as the pilot, and that is tail wheel lock. Now, you could make the argument and say, well, Dion, having it simplified is in effect tail wheel lock, because when you're in a tail dragger scenario, this right here is not going to really illustrate because we got floats, but when you're in the tail dragger configuration, the tail wheel follows the rudder, and that's perfectly fine, and I am totally cool with that. I'm okay with that. But the third option would be to actually tail wheel lock. So then that way, when you're coming into land, or you're taking off, like you do with a C-47 or DC-3, no matter how you want to label that aircraft, you go straight down the runway, and then you can control the rudder a little bit by having it. So the workaround is right now is you just leave it on simplified. So what I do now to fly this aircraft to simulate a tail wheel lock to a degree is have it on realistic when you're taxiing around, and then then you have to go into this menu and switch it over to simplified. And to be able to do it. Now, what would be nice is if they actually had a switch inside the somewhere in the pedestal, or somewhere that you can actually have a switch that you can turn on, whether it be electric or mechanical or whatever needs to be, and make it so that way you can actually simulate, have inside there, instead of actually having to go in here and then switch it between one or the other, because that's how you have to fly the airplane. I have to fly the airplane as simplified when I'm taking off and landing, or I ground loop this thing every stinking time, and that gets frustrating because you're sitting there trying to fly, or you're doing a job for an economy module such as FS Airlines, and all of a sudden you crash the airplane. Then you got to start all over again, and when you're going to land to your destination, that really pisses you off. To be frankly blunt and honest with you, it pisses you off. So the best thing to do is do that behavior for most people, and that is simplified for when you're taking off and landing. But it would be better is if you actually had some kind of switch to actually tail wheel lock, where the tail wheel is disconnected from the rudder when you're coming into landing. So then that way you can just keep straight and true down the runway. But that's just me. If there's arguments to bunk what I just said, I would love to hear it, because hey, I'm not perfect. I could be wrong, but I would like to have an explanation, or I have to have some kind. I'd like to have an explanation of why what I said is not necessary. But for me, I would like to have a tail wheel lock. But it is what it is. So that's a little bit talking about the tail wheel and the tail and the rudder. So anyway, so we're set and ready to go there. So that, like I say, this moves around just fine, and it moves around with the water rudders, which is good. I'm guessing that's the way it would be for real. Okay, and then we come over here and we do this. Click on this, everything is fine. Then we go over here like this, and everything is looking good. I wouldn't expect any other way. Like I said, if I had the lights on right now, the lights on scenario, I don't know in the real world. I've never seen it in any YouTube videos. If in the real world that there is actually a ground power unit, also known as a external power unit, or as a GPU. I don't know if anybody has it, but if I'm going to have the lights on when I'm doing a walk around, I wouldn't want to be sucking up the battery. So I would have it on a ground power unit, whether it be just an extended battery or whatever the case may be. That kind of thing. That would be nice to have. To be able to have a ground power unit modeled, if that even exists. If it doesn't exist, then of course you wouldn't have it. But then I wouldn't be going around as slow as I am doing this, as I'm doing a video showing you all. So, it could be either way. And of course, same scenario. You can see it's way over here. We got to move this around. So that's a problem for Reality XP needs to address. again, Reality XP, if either Thranda does or Reality XP needs to do it, actually have this pop out window here, actually have it where you can actually add fuel right here. That would be kind of cool, and take away fuel away. That would be cool, because you may get, do your pre-flight for your next job, for your turnaround flight. The next job you might want to be that you don't need as much fuel, or you got more cargo and you got to defuel the aircraft. Have a mechanism in place to be able to defuel the aircraft, other than just going into this window here and doing it right here, which is perfectly fine. But as I say, for an added role-playing experience, it'd be kind of cool to be able to defuel from right here, and that could be a reality expansion pack thing that they could do. But to be frankly blunt and honest with the reality expansion pack, what's been my experience with them, they create the expansion pack, make sure it stays updated with the airplane, but they don't add any extra features to the reality expansion pack. At least if they have, I haven't noticed. And that's probably another comment that somebody can make in the comments down below, saying, Dion, you're wrong. When we had this airplane, we added this and this to make it more robust. Then I could say, okay, I stand corrected. But with the Baron 58 and with the with the Quest Kodiak and with this airplane here, the three reality expansion packs I do have, I've never seen them actually add additional features to the reality expansion pack that actually, in effect, you get more for your money, if you're understanding what I'm saying there. So I don't see reality expansion pack doing that based on their history that I've experienced so far. I'm just telling it like it is, guys. You know that, me, everything I have, I pay for. So, and then as far as the pitot tube is concerned, you got the pitot tube right here, and the temperature is currently cold, which is expected. So we'll get rid of that, and then we'll go ahead and get rid of the last tie down, which is right there. And then we are done. Of course, now we're looking up in the sky right here. So now we're done with that. So now we are ready to actually, let's go ahead and just close all these doors here. So I'm going to save me a little bit of time and aggravation here. We'll go over here to General. We'll close these doors right here. Let's see. I did not talk about anything about the information card itself. You got your engine. You could be mode. It could be simplistic or realistic. I like realistic. That just makes it so you can learn how to start the engine as right as possible. That kind of thing. No window reflections, standard stuff. It just makes the windows a little bit darker and this sort of thing. You can make it where you can add the reflections. I always like them. All covers on, all covers off, all tie downs on, all tie downs off, that kind of thing. All doors open, and then all doors closed. One thing I did not mention on the exterior is you do not have the ability to take off the cowl to be able to look at the cowl. Another also regarding the cowl, there is no cowl flaps in this aircraft. I guess in the real world, this aircraft does not have cowl flaps. Maybe it's not needed, but I just noticed that because you have the cowl flaps for the Cessna 208, or sorry, the 206 and the cowl flaps for the 172 and those other type of aircraft, and so I have the cowl flaps bound to my keys on my honeycomb throttle quadrant, and I went to flip the switch to be able to open up the cowl flaps to keep the engine cool, and it didn't do anything, and that's just because probably it doesn't have cowl flaps. So just an FYI, it appears this aircraft does not have cowl flaps. So, let's see what else to talk about. We already talked about the simple. Now the another added feature that's really cool in this is the radial engine. The radial engine animation is pretty neato. I really like it. And you can see we've got two buttons here. You got pre-flight, which basically it just heats up the engine for you, where the engine's all ready to go. Where if you just click on this button, which I am not going to do because I don't want to simulate that quick instant gratification. I want to earn it. and that is starting the engine and letting it warm up. So you hit this, and the engine's already warmed up. Same with the prime button. You hit the prime button right here. It'll automatically move the slider to the correct area for priming. That right there, I call these, me personally, I call these cheats, because that kind of breaks the immersion factor of what I want out of this aircraft, and that is I want to actually, prime it myself, and then also let the engine warm up, in real time, as opposed to just having that instant gratification. But again, that's me. And if you're in a hurry and you want to get from point A to point B and you want to expedite your flight, then I can see those two buttons be advantageous to you to be able to use. And again, I don't have a problem with the buttons. If you want to do that, that's your business. But for me personally, I don't do that because I want to experience the aircraft as the developer or as the aircraft is intended, that kind of thing. So we'll use this, and I will kind of use this a little bit, but I already kind of know what I'm going to get out of it, so I really don't need it. But it is cool to be able to watch the little engines, all the pistons and everything move around. That's pretty cool. And there's a lot of art, a lot of development time going into it. So I'm going to show it off because Dan and the team over at Thranda spent a lot of time to be able to make that. So we're going to take over it. We've already talked about the livery scenario and what you do about the liveries, fuel weights, moving weight around, and that sort of thing. You got your tip tanks. You got your right tip tank, your left tip tank, and they feed into the front tank, which is right here. That's what feeds into the front tank. So if your front tanks are getting a little low, you can use the tip tanks as your reserve option. Always have, when you fly an airplane, if you fly in aviation in general, always have an out, always have an option. That's basically aviation 101, and same with even driving an automobile when you're on the freeway. Always have an out. You're sitting there flying around. You're in lane number 1 or you're in lane number 2, and you got 6-lane highway or whatever. Always make sure you always have an out in case something in front of you bad happens. You have an out to get away from whatever bad happens to you. Same scenario applies here in aviation. Always have a scenario where you have an out. You have a way to get out of a bad situation to prevent a bad situation. So that's how I see it, and I try to do that as best I can. But sometimes you can't avoid bad situations. You just do the best you can. So, and that's one of the ways, is to actually have your tip tanks that you have right here available to you. So when you get a little low in your fuel in your front tanks, you just open up the valve, which is where do I drop it in there? I drop it in right here. This is where it's at. It's up here. So you would move this over to both tanks, because I do them both at the same time. And now if I had an imbalanced scenario, then of course I would either switch to the right tank or to the left wing tank to be able to do a balance. And then of course you would come over here and you'd actually, check, you check how it is. Now, granted, you are cheating here. It would be kind of cool if Thranda actually would have a fuel level, tube right here and over here, so then that way I as a pilot would know, not having to rely on this thing right here. It would be nice to actually have a fuel level, right here, to be able to tell me that, yeah, you got, and then have the little thing where it says, I think, what is it, full is 11 gallons is halfway, so 21 gallons right here. So you'd have 21 gallons right here, you'd have 0 down here, and then you'd have 3/4 full, half full, that kind of stuff. You'd have you'd have a gauge right here. That would be nice to have that kind of thing on both wings, so and you wouldn't have to rely on this. Especially that would be very, very handy in VR. Having the fuel gauges in VR would be very handy, because we have them right here, and also too some kind of a fuel gauge, maybe electronic fuel gauge or something like that for the external fuel tank that you have, because right here we have the external fuel tank. So having some kind of a fuel gauge to know how much fuel is left into the belly tank, that would be helpful as well. Whether that's real in the real world, I don't know. But in the real world, I don't see any reason why you could not have a fuel gauge right here for a real pilot to know how much fuel is in those tip tanks. I don't see any reason why not to have that. The belly tank, on the other hand, you actually would have to have probably an electronic or electric fuel gauge. And you just put it right here next to the rest of them. So that would say belly tank, and then you would have a little gauge, that you would put in and that sort of thing. And then cameras, they've already got preset cameras all over the place. I don't really need to talk about that much. The audio and slew mode. I'm not really too familiar with a slew mode actually does, so I'm not going to talk about it because I don't know much about it. I need to learn more about what slew mode is. Now the panel thing, this is another very good feature that is centric to only Thranda that I have found so far, and that is the ability to be able to create your avionics panel the way you want it. And as you see before you, this is how I want my avionics panel right now. Yes, I can make it a little bit better, but there is limitations on what you can do. But this is the only aircraft that I take that back. This one and the Cessna 208 Grand Caravan and Cessna 175 by Thranda. Those are the two aircraft I have that actually have the ability to be able to move the panel gauges around, and this is just awesome. And as you can see right here, you have different ones. We're at preset number 6, which is the one I created, and you can just bounce around between all the presets. You start out with the default ones, and the default one here is with background number 1, and you can see this is how most of I'm having a brain fart. Most of the Beavers are set up, but of course, I have mine set my way, and then you can go through them all. See, there's 2, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, and that sort of thing, and you can just go through different presets on how you want to set up your avionics suite as far as the background is concerned. If I want the background to 0, and then I can sit here and go through some presets with the how to set them all up. But in my case, I have preset number 6 because this is how I wanted it set up. And it's really, really cool. Now, to talk about the what I talked about earlier about the fuel. The fuel I moved up to here because the reason what I did is and one thing I like about this dynamic panel is I can set up the way I want to because of how I fly. I try to get as much information so I can be looking out the window and still just kind of glance down and look and see all the important things. The important things that you see right now is what's obviously important. So I have access to, I can see my fuel, where my fuel levels are before I run out of fuel. That's very important to me. The most important thing that I've found by flying this aircraft, because of the mistakes that I've learned, is about overheating the engine in this airplane. That's why I moved from their other locations, which was out of sight, to up here, where now when I'm sitting here at my normal field of view, I got my temperature that I can see right there, and all I got to do is just zoom in with my mouse wheel, and boom, I can see where my oil pressure is, my fuel pressure is, and what my water temperature is all right here, nice right in front of me. So if I had a real one of these, more than likely this is how I would probably have my aircraft set up, unless there's something in the real world that would make me change my mind. But as far as the simulation world is concerned, this is how this is really, really cool. Now, I probably could move the fuel selector up to where it's more up here, instead, but you know, I'm not really tripping on it. Right up there, down there, that's not that much of a difference because you're not interacting with the fuel selector as much as you are having to react with this all right here. Because you're definitely the most important ones that I actually see is basically is right here. You know, basically is right here is the RPM, the manifold pressure, water and fuel temperatures, the cylinder temperature, fuel quantity. Having the backup speed is nice, but I've got the speed tape right here in the Aspen. So having this as a secondary backup, but in all actuality, this Aspen is cool and all, but I don't really. I use it for other things other than knowing what my altitude is, how high I am, and what my speed is. I more rely on the analog gauge than I do on the digital. I found that's what I found for me when I fly, and my vertical speed. I just like the big, huge dials that we have right here to see what's going on with the airplane. I just like it better. Here, everything is all condensed into this one little package, which is cool. And probably when you're flying the real world airplane, the Aspen avionics is probably just fine, and you probably wouldn't be thinking about it at all. But here in the simulation world, I just found that I actually gravitate towards the analog gauges because they say this analog is the speed. This analog is what your altitude is doing. This is what your vertical speed is doing. How much you're climbing. You know, the HSI. This is telling you exactly where you are going. It doesn't give you exactly the numerical value. You have a ballpark, but you can zoom in here on the Aspen and say, okay, you are at heading 125 or 127. Whereas right here, you're not going to know you're 127. You look at this right here, you're seeing that looks like right now we're kind of at 135 ish or so right now, and that kind of thing. Um, so yeah, so that's another one, and then another very important one that I have, and I'm thinking about switching these because I don't really need the artificial horizon right here. It's nice to have, but I'm thinking about. Matter of fact, we'll just do that right now, right as I'm doing this right now. So this is how you do it. We'll go right over here, and then we will scroll here until we find the artificial horizon, which is kind of convenient. So you can turn them on and off. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to grab this because we are on number 6, right? I'm just going to left click and grab this. And as you can see right here, as I mouse over, you can see it's turned into where I can actually move it now. I got like a movement icon. And we'll just move it right over here. So it's over here, and we just move it right over here. And there you go. Again, I don't really interact with often enough, so I'll just put it right around here and call it a day. And you can see the position of it. It says it's at 0.157, and I think that is too high. I may have to get over here and look. Oh, no, maybe I'm fine. It looks like I'm okay. Yeah, that looks like I'm all right. But we'll just leave it as such. But you can actually move these. You just mouse over here, and then you can actually move these things out, and you can move them in, and that kind of thing to actually. And you can move it up and down, move it wherever you want it, move it forward and backward, left and right, all that sort of stuff. So we'll go back to 157 the way it was. We'll just leave it as such. So that's good. And then what we're going to do here is we're actually going to move this. So what we're going to do is we're going to mouse over with my mouse and back over to here, and we'll just keep on moving this until we actually find the turn coordinator. Let's see. Turn coordinator, where are you? Is that the right one? Yeah, I think that's the right one. Yeah, because it's off right now. So that's the right one. So you left click and just drag it right up here, and then that's all there is to it. Because we're just moving it up, so the depth of it didn't change or anything like that. I just want to make it so it's more visual that I can see. So now I've got that right there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go back over here, and I'm actually going to add. Did I go too far? No, here it is. I'm gonna add the radio altimeter, and then we'll put it over here. Now this is kind of redundant here. I really don't have to have this, but we'll go ahead and put it here anyway. Because now I'm kind of having a redundant thing. And then there you go. So now what I've done is, so now this is all done right here. Now I will go back, and then I will go back to the layout page. And then now that we're back to the layout page, now I'm going to hit save preset because it's already at number 6. I'm going to go ahead and hit save, and it's going to ask me, are you sure you want to save this? And I'm going to hit yes, and then there you go. So that's just an example, or a small example of what you can do with, excuse me, with all of this. I'm trying to think as I'm burping my head off here. The levers right here you cannot move. The information cards with the fuel ones, those are just stickers that are on there. Those cannot be moved. The flap indicator, because it's in the same location as it is with all different backgrounds that you saw previously. So all of those, so that's static, so that does not move. So you can't move the flap indicator over here, and you can't move this somewhere else. And I see somebody's taking off here. Noisy damn airplanes. So that means my world traffic's working. Or traffic, I don't know, it's one of those traffic programs I have. I got them all. I wasted a lot of money on traffic programs. But anyway, so that's pretty much the size of, now that we got this all set up down, so now I've actually changed my panel a little bit. And now, when I'm looking, I can always see where my turn coordinator is, because when I was flying, I noticed that I don't see the turn coordinator, and sometimes that's very, very handy. So we'll go ahead and move our flaps back up. Now, in one of the videos on, speaking of flaps, on YouTube, you take it, when you do your flaps, you take it down to landing, and you never go beyond landing. You can go one more. Yeah, so you can go one more, but one of the videos I watched for the Beaver, he was instructed, or the real world pilot said, you never go beyond your landing, your landing one, which is right here. You never go past that one, because if you do, you'll break something, he said. So now here in the sim, I have already went past it, and I didn't have any problems here in the sim. But in the real world, you have that one extra notch. Excuse me. But you never go past that notch, is what they said in the in the real world. So anyway, so that's the panel configuration there. You could put your nav 1 and your nav 2. You could they had them right here, but I have the GTN 750, and I've got the Garmin 430 sitting right here, so I really don't need those needles, other than if I wanted as a backup. But I don't know. I have mixed feelings on it, and I just don't have it installed. I don't know if it's necessary or not. And having a co-pilot artificial horizon, a co-pilot speed indicator, I guess I could put those in, but I don't, because I basically got this aircraft set up for me as a pilot, for a single pilot configuration, is how I have it set up. I don't expect to fly in the right seat over there. And that's pretty much it as far as how to manipulate the panels and what the panel looks like and how it works and that sort of thing. So, hey, it is what it is. And then down here you have your throttle quadrant, you have old throttle quadrant, and you have new throttle quadrant. I personally like the old throttle quadrant because it's more what I'm used to, where the throttle is the closest to me, and then the props are in the center and the mixture is to the right. That's how it is in the Cessna 170 or 170-82, the Cessna 206, the King Air 350. The list goes on and on and on. This configuration is how it is, so I call that as standard. The only thing that I would see different that I'd like to do is I'd like to have this be blue. The actual handle be blue and this handle be red. And at one point, if I can find that in the file that creates those, I might color those and actually make those, make this blue and make this red. I will do that at some point. and actually just to add that little bit more of my touch to it. As far as the tensioners, I think these are just static because you don't really have any use for these here in the simulation world, other than they're just there to look pretty. They don't have any function, and they shouldn't have any function because you're in a sim, for crying out loud. But anyway, so but you do have the new configuration. I just don't like it because it flips the prop and the throttle around, and also too when they're all the way up, look what happens to your visibility of your gauges. They go away. You can't see them anymore, and that right there, for me, is a major turnoff. I don't like that at all. So, yeah, so I don't. That's why I don't use the modern one. It has two strikes against it. One, it doesn't look as cool, and two, the placement's wrong, and the height of the throttles I don't like. So, placement's wrong to my liking. Let me say it that way. So that's why I why I always roll with the legacy type throttle quadrant. The bubble for the window here. Let's just go ahead and just poke ourselves out right here. As you can see right here, we have a bubble window right now. Every video I've seen on YouTube so far, I have not seen. They just mention it, but I have never seen a beaver on YouTube that does not have the bubble window. This is a modification that was done by Kenmore Air in Canada. I believe it is. I believe that's a Kenmore Air modification. Instead of having a straight window, you have the bubble window, and the advantage to the bubble window is when you have a passenger sitting there, they're usually all scrunched together, and by having that bubble window, it allows it to be able to have a little bit more shoulder room. So your shoulder is actually, coming out right here, and also too, you can kind of look over with your head and actually have more visibility. So that's why Kenmore created the bubble window. At least that's what I've been. What videos I've seen, that's what they have stated, that the reason why the Kenmore modification was done. And there is probably more Kenmore modifications to this aircraft that I don't know about. The windows, that kind of thing. They've been also another, the square windows and maybe an extra window here. Now I do know that there is some beavers out there that actually have two things. One, they have an actual little door right here. I think it's on the other side, not on this side, but on the other side, that allows you to be able to have a little bit extra storage here in the back, providing if your CG can handle it. And another thing is also right along in here somewhere, there is an actual tube going right through completely right through the fuselage, and the purpose of that, according to the video I watched, is so then when you're picking up the aircraft to be able to do the float change out from floats to wheels. That structural point is set up there so you could put it on a hoist to be able to lift the airplane up and then be able to change and flip it between to do maintenance, or to do the gear maintenance, or to just take the floats out and put wheels in, or whatever. That I kind of like to see that here in X-Plane. Is it necessary? No, because we have two ACF files for this aircraft. We got the float version and we got the wheeled version, which also includes the skis and other things. I forgot what the other thing was. Skis was one. Oh, the Tundra tires, the skis, and then the regular tires is the wheeled version, and of course the floats and amphibious floats is the other version. And basically, which brings me right up to here, the floats and the amphibious version, if you turn this off, then you're strictly water operations only, and you can't land on the airfield, and these wheels go away. So we won't do that because we're here on the ground. But that's what that's for. The ventral fin, which is what this is. I just turn it on because it looks cool. I'm sure somebody can explain to me in the comments down below. It actually has a purpose, and there's probably a reason for it. But for me, I just like it because it looks cool. It's just another thing that sticks out there that catches your eye, that makes it look cool, you know. Water rudder, obviously, that just drops the water rudder down. Now, what I have done is I've actually bound a key to my throttle quadrant, so I can bring them up and down. There is an ability, I think, here in X-Plane where you can actually, I can bind another, if I had the room, I could bind another lever, and so you can actually put, I think you can, I'm not for sure on that here real quick. Let me go over here to joystick, go over here to the throttle quadrant, and right here to here, we have the ability to be able to do the water rudder. We've got rudder trim. Well, if you guys saw it, maybe you saw it, I didn't, but I don't see it right now. I see rudder trim. The only thing I see related to water, I don't see anything related to water. I don't see anything related to rudder water or anything like that, so it doesn't have it. I thought it did, but I guess it doesn't. If it does, I don't see it. You guys probably say, hey, Dion, it's right there. You're missing it. Yeah, I don't see it. You could do a special command, but there's really no need if you got available switches. But anyway, so you could have a lever set up. If it's not set up for it, so it's not set up for it. It's got other things in here. Maybe X-Plane 10 had it and X-Plane 11 does not, because I never really had to deal with it. But I remember maybe X-Plane 10 had the water. See, there's the landing gear right there, but not water rudder. So anyway, I'm wasting too much time with it. But anyway, so like I say, you could, you know, X-Plane 10, if I remember right, you could do it. Here in X-Plane 12 or 11, you can't. So anyway. Please bind it to a switch. It's instantly up, instantly down. There you go. Let's see, what else? And that's pretty much it for that miscellaneous window. And it's pretty much it. So, why don't we get ready to go here to actually start this thing, I guess. So what we're going to do is we're going to start this aircraft, and then how to do that is, first off, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and make sure that our brakes are on, and brakes are on. Brakes are pulled, so we're set and ready to go there. We've already went through all the fuel and all the temperature, all that other stuff, so that's all done already. Now, we'll go ahead and turn the power on right here. So now we got juice. Go ahead and turn on the beacon light. Go ahead and turn on the navigation lights, and so that lets everybody know, hey, we're going to start this bad boy. We're going to, because we have one tank that's available here, which is the front tank. So we're going to go ahead and move this over to the front tank. I was going to talk about the differences between the two. You'll notice that this is all jacked up. The only one that's in uniform with the actual gauges is the left tank. The left tank is the same right here on the left as it is right here on the left right here, but the center tank is actually over here and the rear tank is actually up here. So but that's the way it is in the real world with the real aircraft. The reason why de Havilland did it that way, I do not know, but you would think logically, you would think you'd make this gauges and the switch and this the same, where you would have the top tank would be the rear, and then the middle tank would be over here. But they didn't do it that way, or had just actually switch. You know, what they should have done, they should have switched the gauges. Put this over here and this over here, and then they'd have been fine. Then it would have been in unison. But they didn't do it that way. So anyway, so we're set and ready to go there. And then I think we can go ahead and use the wobble pump now. We got the switch on here. We're sucking up battery, so let's go ahead and move everything up here. And we'll go ahead and do the wobble tank. The wobble is what's right down here. This is our little wobble pump thing, and it says, you see right there, it says do not exceed over 5 psi, because if you do that, then it will blow out the seals in the wobble, and then right off the bat you got yourself a cost of having to fix the wobble pump, and I'm sure that's not cheap, because everything in aviation is not cheap. So, and as you can see right now, our fuel level is just totally no fuel pressure at all. And so what we'll do is we'll go over here like this, and we'll go 1. I thought there was a sound, but I don't hear any sound for it. 2, 3, and we'll do 4. And that's it. That's as far as we want to push. As you can see, we're not over 5, because 5 is right there. We're right around 4. If I do one more, I think we're going to go over. So we'll just leave it be. And then we're going to come over here, down here, what you see down here, kind of in the corner here. You can see it. You see, there it is right there. But let's go ahead and close this door back up. I need this door open here. But we'll come over here, or I can just do this, like that, and then we'll do the pump. Squirt 1, squirt 2, squirt 3, squirt 4, and squirt 5. Now, if everything is correct here, now if I go over here and cheat and look at our radial engine, we should be in the correct. And looky there, lo and behold, we are in the correct area, and that's exactly where we want to be. So now what we need to do is we need to actually now what I've seen in the real world, what they do is they will start the aircraft, but they will just spin the aircraft over. They'll just spin it, and then not have to basically get the fuel to go into all the cylinders. So that's what we're going to do now. 1, 1000, 2, 1000, 3, 1000, 4, 1005. Okay. Now, unfortunately, when you do that here in the sim, it'll automatically turn on the glow plugs, or not the glow plugs. Sorry, I'm having a brain fart. What you call the damn things when you go like this? Well, we'll say glow plugs. They're not glow plugs, or the other thing. And I'm having a brain fart at what you call the damn things right now. But anyway, so now we are set and ready to go. We should have fuel in each one of the engines, so this thing should start right up. So I will go ahead and just crack this thing up just a little bit, and then we're going to start it again. And this time what we're going to do is we are actually going to turn on the coil, which is down here, this coil boost, and that'll give us a little extra spark. What you see right there, that will come up. You'll see it come up when I put my arc back down here, and then I'll start it. So coil boost goes on, and now we start it. And there it is. It started. Pretty uneventful. Let that RPM build up a little bit. See, that sound is just awesome. I just noticed that my radial engine thing was not in the right spot. I apologize for that. Didn't notice that. And while we're letting this thing warm up a little bit, see, this thing has got to get up to at least 50 degrees Celsius in order for you before you start to want to move the aircraft. So we're just going to let it build up in temperature right now, and let the cylinder head build up. And we'll go ahead and get rid of this and get rid of this. And we'll go ahead and just turn everything else on. Caution. Yeah, I don't have the
Catalina weather. Wind calm.
Oh, what is it?
Catalina weather. Wind calm. Visibility more than 10. Sky clear. Temperature 27, dew point 13. Altimeter 3004.
Okay. You can flip right over here. You can flip. Let me go ahead and just turn this on, so I don't have to be yelling over the engine. Actually, you know what? No, we're gonna yell over the engine because the engine's too damn cool. So I'll just yell over the engine. If you want to switch between millibars and whatever European that number is, you can just left click with this particular type of gauge, and you can just flip it. I always have it on American because I'm American. But there you go. So we're idling up to about 900. We're not quite at 50 yet, so we'll wait. And because we are going, see, I don't know why it defaults to KTOA. I don't know why it does that, because that's not where we're at. We are KAVX is where we are. And we are going to KMRY. Yeah, Monterey. That's it. So that takes care of that. Now I got to put in our flight plan. So our flight plan, we are only going to be going like 2,500 feet. So we're just going to follow the vertical. First off, we'll put in our first waypoint, PAT patrol, or PT, not PAT, PAR, PAR, OL. There. And we'll put in our waypoint, which are our out, Victor Airway 27, and is going to be, our out is going to be all the way down to here. And it just puts in our whole flight plan right there. And there you go. And we'll put in 2,500 feet. Now, legally, or what we're not legally, but what we're supposed to be is with you. If we're going to be using the Victor Airway, we're supposed to be at a minimum of 4,000, or yeah, of 6,500 feet. But the winds at 6,500 feet, we're going to go check it out, and if they are, then we'll climb to 6,000. We'll climb to 6,500. But if I'm getting bounced around like a mofo, then I will get us back down to 2,500. But we're going to start out at 2,500. So that takes care of that. Now, as far as lighting is concerned, I wanted to bring up lighting with this, because when you go out here, you see right now the lights are not oscillating. They're not going back and forth between one and the other, and they're not going, you know, what they call them, wobble lights. Is that what they call them? They call them wobble lights, I think. And they're not wobbling because you do have the pulsating light breaker right here. But you have the breaker, but you don't have the wobble lights engaged. So, which is kind of a bummer. Because when you're coming into land, you like to see those lights wobble or oscillate between the two. So that's one thing that I would like to see Thranda do, is to fix the light oscillation to where they're actually flashing back and forth as you're coming into land. That would be very cool, because they've already got the breaker for it right here, but it doesn't work. So realistically, there's only two things here in the sim that this model does not work, and that is the wobble lights, or the oscillation lights, whatever the term you want to call them, and then of course the lights back here, right here. Because if I turn on the matter of fact, if I go right now, turn on the cabin lights. Now I got all these lights there. You can see how it's light, because I'm getting light from these guys right here, and I'm getting lights from this guy right here. This light is shining over here, and then this light is shining over here, which is lighting up the panel, and these right here are lighting up around me. But unfortunately, these lights over here don't work. So that's where I was talking about earlier, that these lights don't work. And I don't know why. All right. So we are all set and ready to go. And let's just go ahead and GTFO. I'm not going to worry about ATC. We're just going to do our job. So what I need to do now is I need to come back over here. And then what we need to do is click on our FS Airlines, and then everything looks okay from what I can tell. And we'll hit fly. And hopefully I don't run out of fuel, because if we do, I'll have to land somewhere and fill back up. But we should be just fine. So now we're on the clock. Now it's time for us to go to work. And of course now I got, like and subscribe. I forgot to turn that back off. My bad. All right, release parking brake. Let's go. I'll probably listen to ATIS again because I don't know where the winds are.
Catalina weather. Wind calm. Visibility.
Oh, wind calm. Okay. Well, I've seen people were taking off, or the NPCs were taking off over here on this side of the runway, so we'll do that. The sounds are just so awesome. I just can't speak highly enough of the sounds. And flaps will go down to takeoff. See, now here is where, let me go ahead and stop right now. Okay, we're on simplified right now on our rudder. I can't illustrate it. My bad. Can't illustrate it because we're on floats. We're not on wheels. So never mind. Never mind. Carry on. I feel like I'm yelling into my headset right now because the sound of this airplane is so loud. And that's perfectly fine. That's what we want. We want a loud airplane. The hell with those noise environmentalists. We gotta have our noise. It's kind of funny, I have a neighbor here where I live that plays their music on in the middle of the night at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's very, very annoying. So what I had to do is I had to get a bunch of speakers and have this in and record this airplane, and then I'll just shoot the speakers right at them. And you see right now I'm using differential braking to be able to make this thing turn because we are on floats. Alrighty, Catalina traffic, November 531 Lima Mike is at runway for north departure, Catalina traffic. I don't think I said that right. Alrighty, everything is set, everything is ready to go. We are running, we're getting paid, or we're on the clock. Alright, let's give it a little bit of gas. And we'll turn on our headset. Is this gonna get noisy? Full power. God have mercy on our soul. Positive rate of climb, gear up. Up 1 notch of flaps. Get a little bit more speed. Next notch of flaps. Get a little bit more speed. And another notch of flaps to climb/cruise. Or climb. So we'll leave it right there for right now. And because I set this airplane up for IFR type, in other words, I've got GPS out the hill, I got everything all set. All I got to do is point this airplane in the right direction. As we are heading north. Okay, I'm gonna back off on my manifold pressure and get it in the green, around 35. 35 inches. Mixture, I'm still full on mixture. Let me back it off just to, I'm just gonna kiss it, just knock it down just a little bit. So we're gonna go ahead and climb to 6,500 feet because we're already at 2,800 feet. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna see how bad the wind is at 6,500 feet. We'll go ahead and adjust our pitch trim. Our rudder trim. As you can see on the bottom right-hand corner there, you can see the rudder trim is not inside the ball. The ball's not inside the square. So let me articulate that pitch or rudder trim. Excuse me. Get it where it needs to be. There we go. You can also hear the sound. This sound kind of changes a little bit too. Let's take a look at our temperature right now. See, our temperature's starting to climb. So I need to get back, pull off. We'll get it down to 30 inches. I'm still hand flying it right now, just because I can. I was trying to get right around 80 miles an hour or something climb. Try to keep that temperature under control. Okay, so now what we're going to do, sync heading. Didn't hear me. Sync heading.
Heading 310 degrees.
Okay, now we'll turn on the autopilot, turn on the vertical speed. Speed 070.
Speed 070 knots.
All right. Now I got the autopilot going, autopilot doing its thing. I'll go ahead and turn on to navigation mode. So now it's doing GPS steering. Now I can worry about this right here. You see where my temperature is. I just want to make sure we're not burning up the engine. And we're okay there as well. So we're fine. Okay. So as long as we're not burning up the engine. Altitude 6,500 feet.
Altitude 6,500 feet.
No wonder I wasn't climbing. Because I had my altitude set wrong. Let's see at 6,500 feet if we are going to be banging and smacking. Yep. We are. Okay, I'm going to stop right now. Altitude 4,500 feet.
Altitude 4,500 feet.
Okay, we'll let it descend. Let's see if we can. If not, I may have to go back down. Speed 100.
Speed 100 knots.
See, we're in very unstable air right now. If not, we'll take it back down to 2,500 feet. Come on, 2,500 feet. Or 4,500 then. Come on, pitch your nose down. Come on, autopilot, pitch your nose down. It's not going to do it. Could be the autopilot acting up. Autopilot off. Let the autopilot do its thing. as we're losing altitude. Yeah, anything above 4,000 I'm fine, but when I start climbing, sync heading.
Heading 351 degrees.
Altitude 080.
Altitude 800 feet.
Altitude 080.
Altitude already set to 800.
That's right, because I said it wrong. Altitude 4,500 feet.
Altitude 4,500 feet.
Speed 080.
Speed 080 knots.
There, now we're gonna get it synced up here. How's my temperature? All this playing around here, did I mess up my temperature? Temperature's fine. It don't like turns. Because I'm turning the aircraft, it's not liking it. Alright, let's go ahead and just set up to cruise. Pull it back to 25 inches. And we'll pull our RPM back to about 2,000. Alright, we'll just let it settle down here. Says we're going to be running out of fuel. Why am I not surprised? Okay, so we're doing 27. Let's back it off to 25. Gallons per hour. Close enough. So it says we're going to be 5 gallons short, so we'll see how that plays. One nice thing about flying over the ocean or over a body of water with floats, I have a nice big long waste of land. All right, so we are set and ready to go. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get rid of me, and then we'll just fly this, and then once we get to the other side, then I will we'll set up to land. So I will be back.
I'll have that for you momentarily. 3497 Roger, and you cleared ILS to runway 10 right approach. And continue running nose right, clear to land.
Cleared ILS 10 right.
That's 2497, just verify you are on the low advisor. Roger that. Maintain 4,000. 2497, flying 110.
110, Heiser 2497.
Thank you.
Southwest 3569 is RNAV 10 right.
Southwest 3569 for the tower, runway all direct, clear to land, wind 1005.
10 right, clear to land, Southwest 3569.
Right up, I've got no drop on it.
Yeah, over here, cut this shit.
Skylines 9320 for the tower, runway on direct, clear to land, wind 1004.
You're right, it's got 9320.
Helicopter 16 Tango Victor, flight is to 9 miles or 10 miles to the north with Yankee 1200 for the ramp.
Helicopter 16 Tango Victor, tower, good morning. You can proceed direct to the ramp for a ramp approach report, 2 miles out.
Report 2 miles or 16 Tango 5 and flight.
And Hotel 16 Tango Victor, information Yankees, current altimeter 2990, wind calm.
2990. Tower 16 Tango Victor, flight 1.5 miles to the north.
Helicopter 16 Tango Victor, roger. Landing at the ramp will be at your own risk. Use caution. Currently the winds are calm.
16 Tango flight.
Alrighty. Well, unfortunately, I was sitting there just doing all my commentary on my landing and everything else, and then realized that I didn't. I didn't have my microphone on, or me. So anyway, so I hope you guys enjoyed the landing, and along with the replay there of actual landing itself. So what we got to do now is we just got to go ahead and just set this thing up for, and we got our job done here. We got paid, so that was a good thing. We would have got paid more because when I stopped to get fuel, I had to restart the flight all over again. And so there's actually two different ones. There's one I was a negative where I lost money, and then one that I actually gained money. So I think I lost $7,000, and then I finished this flight here, and now we did the $134,000 for the company. So I don't know. It all worked out in the end. I guess what I should have done is should never did stop the client and then just and then just filled up and then go out and just let the client running as I just added fuel because I was on the ground. But I don't know. I'm learning that as I go along. Usually I just go from point A to point B and I have enough fuel for the whole thing. But in this case right here, it just didn't work out that way. But anyway, so let's go ahead and close everything up here and just end this bad boy. So what we got to do here is got to do the do the post-flight check here. So we got to put our chocks in, and for some reason chock's not working. Okay, why is it not working? All right, fine. How about if I go over here like this and I go boom, boom. Now the chocks are going to work, huh? Well, no, they didn't work either. So I don't know why the chocks are not working off the post-flight, but hey, whatever. I did do the other thing, so now all the covers are on. Covers are on. The pitot tube is not on because of the temperature. You have to wait for that to cool down a little bit, probably. Anyway, and that was basically it. So that was a quick, brief thing there. So, and we'll go ahead and put our fuel selector back, and that's pretty much the size of that. So this flight is now done and in the can. So anyway, I hope you guys like this video here. Definitely, I hope to give you guys some insights on this aircraft that don't have it or are thinking about buying the Thranda DHC2. I highly recommend it. Extremely detailed aircraft for what it is and for the price you pay. I will probably get more enjoyment out of this aircraft once the X-Plane 12 is released, because we're going to have a better weather system, better interaction between the airplanes and the floats in the water. Supposedly that's going to be coming down the road, plus the ATC system. I am still wondering how the orthos are going to work with X-Plane 12, because we still need our orthos here, because our orthos, and of course what you see right here in Monterey, California, this isn't default X-Plane. This is basically what this is a Sim Heavens added scenery that allows you to populate more 3D buildings into the sim and that kind of thing. And you can see where all the, not necessarily the artifacting, but the mix match right there, where that's the orthos and whatnot. So we'll have to see how this thing plays. So for X-Plane, for X-Plane 11 and X-Plane 10 and that, that kind of thing, it's all good. I might have landed right here, but I don't think I would have got credit for the flight if I would have landed right here. But it would have been awesome if I could have landed right here and just come right up here and, actually take advantage of it. But again, like I say, there is issues with landing on water here on the X-Plane 11 platform. So, a little bit. That's why when you see over here in the down here where it says dock holding on water, that has a switch that you turn on, because if it basically changes the behavior of the water in X-Plane to allow your airplane to stay fixed in a particular place. Here in X-Plane, the way currently X-Plane 11 is right now, what ends up happening is your airplane, even though you've got the anchor done, it just kind of goes everywhere, and it's like there's a rubber band on the anchor with the airplane. So the airplane just like goes like 5 miles an hour or whatever in in any direction wherever the wind is, and it just kind of, and then it's kind of hopscotch around all over the place. And those are the issues that you know, that Laminar research is going to address with X-Plane 12. So, and that was another reason why I bought the aircraft too, is because the anticipation of X-Plane 12, because I really like you know, playing around in the water with water landings and whatnot. I think it's cool. So, but anyway, well, I hope you guys, like I say again, enjoy this video. Definitely like, subscribe, and all that other stuff that everybody says. I was trying to do my like, subscribe thing here, but it didn't want to work for me for some reason, and I don't know why. So it's not being very cooperative, because I was trying to make it where I can get my quick little like subscribe thing here. If I do that, I hit replay. Yeah, see, it's just not doing it. But anyway, whatever, you know, the way things work. But anyway, you take care. You guys have yourselves a great one. I'll catch you guys next time on another exciting X-Plane adventures, and we'll go fly somewhere in something and whatever we fly. So take care, guys. Bye.